Hi, I'm Brie, the Creative Minds Coach, and today I'm going to talk about why you hate social media and what you can do about it if you want to. So, I recognize that we all have different experiences on social media. For me, it's more of a place to interact with, meet, engage with, converse with other artists and people. It's been kind of a fun experience. But that doesn't mean that I don't sometimes have a problem or come away from my interactions on there feeling negative. And I recognize that sometimes you do too, which is why I wanted to make this video. So before I get into some of the reasons you might hate social media, I want to give you a little overview of my coaching practice. So I practice what's called causal coaching. So I work with my clients to show them why they are experiencing something, and then they get to decide if they want to change it. And this is what I'm going to do with you today. So in my last video, which I will link in the description, it's about confidence. So I talked about some of the thinking that helps create confidence. And the reason why I wanted to do this and talk about thinking is because our thoughts are the foundation for everything we experience in the world. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you might be thinking that's causing you to hate social media and why it's creating a certain experience for you. And then we'll talk about how you can change that. Okay. And also, I want to give a disclaimer. These are not universal. These are just more of a trend that I'm seeing. And I recognize that for every person, this might be a little bit different. You might have a little bit of a different flavor of some of these things. So let's go. Okay, first, I want to tell you that social media is neutral. I know you were already looking at this. So social media is neutral, which means it's just a platform. Okay. And the fact that it exists or the people are on there, it doesn't mean anything to us unless we decide it does. So it just exists until we have some thoughts about it. It's totally neutral. It just is. Okay. All right. So here we go. First one, comparison. Have you heard of compare and despair? I assume you have. But this is so many times a reason why we hate being on social media is we find ourselves comparing ourselves to others. Okay, so the thought that sometimes accompanies this is this blank, whatever art or whatever it is better than mine, which can lead us to think my work isn't good enough. And I put good enough, anytime I put good enough in quotes, it's like not a fact. This is just something that we're thinking. And the good enough is always what you decide it is. Okay, so my work isn't good enough, which might cause you more often than not to feel either disappointed. Oh, I left out a P. Disregard my spelling. Either disappointed or maybe even like dejected. And here's what I want to tell you. When you have this, okay, from this thought, you have this emotion, and this causes this experience for you. That you use the better work of others as a weapon against yourself. You're comparing and making a negative judgment about your own work. And also I want to point out in this that when you feel disappointed and dejected, that's when your experience scrolling through social media, that is partly what causes you to feel so terrible in your interaction there. Okay, so we're comparing and then we're feeling so terrible, and why wouldn't we just throw it away? So throw away social media and hate it, right? But we end up using the better work of others as a weapon against ourselves in our judgment. I'm not going to totally explain this, okay? Because I don't want this video to go long. But just notice if this is happening for you. that if you are using the other people's work as a weapon against yourself to judge your work in a negative way. Okay, so here is the hack. Okay, this is why I want to make these videos for you, is to give you a hack. It's a how-to hack, how you can change it. And the caveat is if you want to. So 1, define what's good enough up here. So really think about like, what is good enough? If your work was good enough, what would that look like? Maybe there is you have an actual description, and you might want to take some time and write that all down. What is good enough? If your work was good enough, what would it look like? Okay. And then once you have that written, so you can do 2 things with this. 1, you can write down what's good enough. Okay. Or 2, if you decide that there is no real like good enough, you can just decide you totally want to drop that thought. Okay. So you can drop the comparison while you work on you. Either way, if you decide what good enough is, and then you go work on that. And you can drop the comparison. Number 2, remind yourself that you have a unique path, and so does everyone else. Everyone else has a unique path, and so do you. And those people are on their unique path, and so are you. So making a comparison, it's not equal. We all have our own things that we're doing and our own art that we're creating. And it's beautiful. And we need you to show up in the way that you do, but without all of this comparison that's causing you to feel terrible and not hang out with us. Okay. So remind yourself that you have a unique path. I love these hacks. All right. So the next one is feel better. Okay. So many times we go on social media, and I'm mostly talking about Instagram, but this could be Facebook or Twitter or any other social media platform. Okay. So we want to try and feel better about ourselves or our art or both. So here's what this thought looks like. Possible thought. Okay. The number of likes and comments equals my value. So when we're thinking this, we're going to post or share. We're going to be sharing anything. In this specific instance, I'm kind of talking about Instagram. I think a lot of us are on there, but it could be anywhere. If you get less likes, then you feel a little insecure, and that causes you to need to post again to try and get more likes so you can feel better right here. Okay, if you get more likes or like a lot of likes, whatever you decide is a lot, then you feel relieved, and that causes you to have some like happy chemicals, like people like me, you get this dopamine hit or something that makes you feel good, because chemicals are really powerful, those happy chemicals, right? They're really powerful. So when you get more likes, that's when you get that like dopamine hit, you feel relieved. Oh my goodness, thank goodness my stuff is valuable, right? People think it's valuable, so it must be. And then guess what? In order to feel better here, we need to post again. Do you see how both of these create the need to post again? And then your experience from this thinking is you need social media to feel good about yourself and your art. See how it creates that? Like that need? Either way, you need all of this to feel better. Okay, but I want to tell you that doesn't come from posting. That comes from deciding or thinking this thought, the number of likes and comments equals my value. It doesn't come from the actual posting itself. Okay, it's just coming from this thought. All right, so here's the hack. Hack number 1. So the first thing you want to do is decide, sorry, my iPad went off. Oh no, it's fine. I don't do a lot of editing on these, so, Okay, so first what you want to do is you decide to value your own work. This is the first work that you're going to do, is you're just going to step back and you decide that you want to value your own work without all of this. Okay, that likes and comments, positive, negative, don't mean anything about your work. You make the decision about it. Okay, you decide to value your own work first. Number 2, okay, once you do that and you make a decision about your work, Then you're going to practice seeing likes and comments as neutral. This is why I told you at the beginning that social media is neutral. It doesn't do anything to us. It just is, it exists. Okay, we interact on it, we use it as a tool, okay? But inherently, it's neutral. Even the algorithm on Instagram or anywhere else is also neutral. It just is. Okay, so practice seeing likes and comments as neutral. You can do this by seeing likes as a number and comments as either letters or words. And they don't mean anything until you decide that they do. Okay, and I wrote here because they are, right? They don't mean anything until you decide that they do, and it doesn't mean anything about your art because here you've already decided to value your own work. This is really powerful. This is a really powerful one. So do this work. Okay, if you want to. You decide. It's totally up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. All right, the next one. This hits home for me. Listen, this hits home for me. We use it as a procrastination tool. I can't tell you how many times this week that I've used social media, Discord, YouTube, all these things as a procrastination tool. Okay, so what happens is we find ourselves, and then I'm relating this to Instagram right at this moment. We scroll on social media and then we think, oh my goodness, I'm wasting so much time, or I just wasted so much time. And when we're thinking that, we feel frustrated. Okay, this is what happens for me. I feel frustrated. This is not 100%. You might feel a different way. Okay, so, or you might have some different other flavor of this thought. So feel frustrated. This is just for me. I'm sharing this with you about myself. Okay, so feel frustrated. And what that causes is like some negative judgment about the social media and ourselves, because I'm deciding that like somehow social media sucked me in and I like wasted so much time on it. I have a lot of judgment about the time that I've just wasted instead of going to get other things done, like this week, make a YouTube video. Okay. So, and then I'm frustrated. But what's happening here, before I move on to the hack, what's actually happening is we want to go backwards and figure out why we landed in social media in the first place. And if I go and do that work for myself, it's probably just putting off making this video for various reasons. Okay. And because sometimes when I get to my calendar or a time that I say I'm going to do something, I feel some resistance. That's not a bad thing. There's just always some resistance there. I don't know if you've experienced this. There usually is a little bit of okay, now I'm going to do this thing, but wouldn't playing on social media feel a little bit better? And sometimes I catch myself in that little kind of loop, right? Where I end up on there and then I think I've already wasted so much time and I feel frustrated and I judge myself. Okay, so this is like the little spiral that we get into, and we might go, oh, I'm so frustrated and I don't want to do that. And so then we kind of loop back into social media. But here is the hack to help you stop. So once you feel frustrated, okay, and we already know we're in this negative judgment space. So once you feel like frustrated and you're having this thought about wasting so much time, you can, number one, just forgive yourself for all the wasted time because it happened. You can't get the time back, right? And if you forgive yourself, that takes away some of this judgment or all of it. How amazing is that? So first, forgive yourself for all the wasted time. And wasted, I put in quotes because that's just our thinking about the time. Okay. Wasted is just time. But we can forgive ourselves for the time that we spent on social media that we're deciding was wasteful. And number two, before we even get to the getting into social media and using it as procrastination, we can just allow ourselves to feel the urge to go on social media or go on Instagram and play. And I want to tell you, this goes back to feeling better. because we already know sometimes we feel better when we're on it. And that's why our brains want to take us there, is because sometimes we feel so good when we're on it because we're getting this dopamine hit and all of that. Okay, so we're going to allow ourselves to feel like we want to go on it. But we've already decided, maybe like for me, I've already decided there's a time that I am making a YouTube video, and I'm just going to feel the urge to go on it and allow myself to feel that, not push it away, but just allow myself to feel like kind of that urge to go on. I'm just going to allow it to be there. That also doesn't feel amazing either. I'm going to also decide to feel all of my resistance for doing this. By the way, I love making these when I'm doing them. I just always know that there's going to be some resistance for me. And I already have decided that's not a bad thing. But sometimes my brain wants to tell me that that feels terrible. So then we go and we do this. Okay, so then you feel the resistance. So you're going to allow yourself to feel the urge to go on social media and not just feel it. And then you're going to feel the resistance. And then you're just going to do your thing anyway. And if you find yourself back here on social media, we're wasting so much time, that's your judgment about it, then you just go back and you forgive yourself for the wasted time, and then you do this again. So, one more thing. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm actually showing you a little bit of a key here. Okay, that our thoughts create our emotions, which create our experience. So if you go back and rewatch this, you'll see all your thoughts are in green, all your emotions are in blue, and all your experiences are in this like really pretty pinky purple color. Okay. And our experience doesn't come from social media because it's neutral. It comes from all the things that we're thinking and the emotions that we get from it. And that is what creates our overall experience, and why we sometimes like interacting on social media and why we sometimes really hate it. It's all coming from our thinking. You can either decide that you're inspired. I love being inspired by all these people today. Or I just spent so much time here. I wasted so much time here. Okay, see the difference? Both of those create a different experience for us. Okay, so that's it. 3 reasons why you hate social media and 3 hacks on how you can change that. If you want to, you have all the power to make those decisions for yourself. All right, so before I go, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my email list and join my creative circle. And in there, you can access free secret subscriber-only videos where I teach even more in depth. And guess what? I have a new series called Coaching Secrets where I teach you my main tool. It's called the thought model that includes this. And I teach you that tool, and I'll have more videos about it. You can get instant access to it right now. You can join by clicking on the link in my description. So that's it. You get to decide if you want to even be on social media or not, and you get to decide whether you hate it or not. And that's it. It's completely up to you, and it all comes from your thinking. All right, that's all I've got for you today. See you next time. Bye.